Hello everyone and welcome to this week's video tutorial. I will be going over the second board in chapter 8 of Grandmaster Ronghwa's Sandwich Horse Defense Treatise. This will be a continuation of the video last week, whereby it will be a discussion where Red would utilize the 5-6 cannons and Black would defend with the Sandwich Horse Defense. As in my earlier videos, I've chosen to present the board with Black at the bottom so that the viewer can experience the opening of the Sandwich Horse Defense with the eyes of Black. So without further ado, let us continue. Central cannon, Sandwich Horse Defense, and as mentioned earlier in last week's video, Red would choose to finalize his early attacking formation with the 5-6 cannons at this point in time. Black would counter with the right rank chariot and target the Pell Corner cannon that Red had just moved. And at this point in time, it would be beneficial for Black to defend with a6 plus 5. One common question that many beginners might ask would be which advisor to play. Now in this situation, a6 plus 5 would be better than a4 plus 5, because with a6 plus 5, Red would get the extra option of playing c6 minus 2 followed by c5 equals to 6 to attack the Black chariot. This would allow Red to adjust his formation should the need arise, and thus giving Red a more versatile formation in the game. So at this point in time, Black would choose to push p7 plus 1 to limit the movement of the red horse, and Red would choose to attack with 2 foul chariots. In the book, r4 plus 5 was played. Now this would be a more aggressive move as compared to playing a6 plus 5 or p3 plus 1. In the book, these two variations were also discussed. A short introduction. If Black were to play a6 plus 5, Red would immediately counter by retreating his cannon as mentioned earlier, and Black would be forced to attack the cannon in this manner. h4 plus 5 would not be a good idea, because Red would be prepared to play r8 plus 3 followed by c5 equals to 6 as mentioned earlier. So Black would have wasted one move and lose initiative. So that is why it would be advisable for Black to attack with r4 plus 7. And because the advisor had been moved, this would limit the space that the Black chariot can develop, as it can only be on the throat rank or along this far. Hence, this is one of the reasons why a6 plus 5 would not be an ideal move. And once this position is reached, Red will start to attack the central file with p5 plus 1, and the following moves were given in the book. And Red will sacrifice both pawns so that this horse would get development. Now at this point in time, Red will be prepared to play c5 plus 3 for the check and to capture the Black chariot. And if Black would have to move his chariot away, and depending on how Black would be forced to trade horses, and after trading horses, this horse would be also developed, and the issue of the problem of developing this horse would thus be solved. And the red horse would after trading horses, the red horse would be prepared to capture the Black pawn at the riverbank for a tiger-headed horse. Any horse that's positioned at the 3rd or 7th file on the riverbank on his own territory is called a tiger-headed horse, and it's one of the most powerful positions that a horse can be placed. So as it can be seen, after trading horses, Black will be forced to protect the pawn in this manner, but in doing so, black would be able to capture the central pawn for a check, forcing black to play the elephant to the central file, and black would defend in this manner. So at this point in time, red would have a significant advantage. Now black would not dare to play a r4 plus 4, r4 minus 1, because red will be prepared to go for the red will be prepared to deliver a checkmate, to deliver a check to capture the chariot. So and after playing this move, the cannon will be able to be maneuvered, and there will be many other tactical combinations that we can come up with. This was not introduced in the book, but generally speaking, in this situation, red would have a significant advantage. So, as mentioned earlier, because a6 plus 5 was played, the black chariot would be limited in development. If p3 plus 1 were played, it will not be as good as playing r4 plus 5 also, and the following moves will explain why. Red would choose to sacrifice a pawn and target the black's right flank, which would be the main weakness in black's formation. After trading, and red would have succeeded in gaining back lost material. So the horse that was lost was actually a pseudo sacrifice. And at this point in time, as can be seen, because the chariot would have blocked the elephant, if the horse were to move, a check would be delivered. So red would not only have gained back lost material, he would have adjusted his formation and be able to concentrate his forces to attack black's right flank. Hence, at this point in time, r4 plus 5 would be advocated. Okay, now this would be also the position of discussion for this book. Now in the book, the Grandmaster presented 4 variations for red. The first would be r8 plus 4, the second would be r2 plus 4, the third would be r2 plus 6, and the last would be p7 plus 1. So bear with me, and let's go through the first variation. In variation 1, red would choose to patrol the riverbank with his left chariot. And black could seize the opportunity to play to move his left horse to the riverbank for development. Trade off pawns. And red would choose to make this move. And at this point in time, in variation 1, we can see that the main battleground would be the riverbank, and it will be a rather even game that black can be satisfied with. As mentioned in my earlier videos concerning the sandwich horse defense, one of the key issues that would prove that the sandwich horse defense was a success would be the ability to solve the issue of black's left horse, and if you were able to move to the riverbank, black would usually gain a significant advantage. So this would be a complicated situation, but generally speaking, it will be an even situation which black can be satisfied with. So this would be variation 1. Okay, a short review, and at this point in time, red cannot play r2 plus 5 to attempt to capture the horse, because black could make the following moves. And as can be seen, after trading the central cannon, red's left horse would be vulnerable to attack, and black would be considered to have the initiative, because red would have to use up some moves to try to move the horse to safety and try to negate any threats that this black cannon might have. Okay, so this would be variation 1, and whereby red would play r8 plus 4. In variation 2, red would choose to patrol the riverbank with the other chariot, his right chariot. This is another very complicated variation. After r2 plus 4 were played, black would offer a trade of chariots. Now this would be the advised move in this situation. r4 plus 3 to capture the pawn immediately would not be advised, because red would trade pawns as planned, and as can be seen, after protecting the horse, black would retreat his cannon to the third rank to prepare to play c6 equals to 7. Now in this current situation, because the black cannon had moved to the edge file, the elephant will become a target of attack after red will play c6 equals to 7. So the issue of the black horse, which elephant to move, would be a problem, and black's formation would be vulnerable to red's current attack. So red will be better in this situation. That is why it would not be advisable to play r4 equals to 3 at this point. Instead, black should try to trade chariots to try to develop his left chariot, and it would be obvious that trading chariots would not be ideal for red, because red would have lost a move in the process after moving r2 plus 4 followed by r2 plus 5. But if red did not want to trade chariots, where should it move to? r2 equals to 7 to target the right horse would be advisable. It would not be a good idea to play r2 equals to 4, although red would try to prevent black from playing h7 plus 6. Now, why is this so? In the book, the Grandmaster had the following play. Black would defend with a6 plus 5. Red would push his pawn forward, preparing to play h7 plus 6, but black would attack with r8 plus 6, and once the left horse were able to attack in this manner, black will be placed in a dilemma. Now there are two options that were discussed. In the book. The first of which would be h3 plus 5, and the second would be p7 plus 1. In the first sub-variation, h3 plus 5 was given, whereby red would simply play c5 plus 4, and red would be able to continue with c5 equals to 3 to target the black chariot. And although the black chariot had to move to the 8th file, black would be slightly better. The black chariot will now be prepared to play r8 minus 3 to attack the red cannon. So this would not be ideal for black. Hence, that is why r2 equals to 4 would not be a good option. Now, if r2 equals to 7, why was r2 equals to 7 advocated? Because the following moves were given in the book. Black would be able to play p3 plus 1, capture. Black defend in this manner, forcing the chariot to the pawn rank, and after playing e3 plus 5, black will retreat his cannon to the safety of the bottom rank and be prepared to play c2 equals to 3. However, red would play c5 equals to 4, trading material, and at this point in time black would have an easy time ahead in the game. So as can be seen, r2 plus 4, the variation 2, r2 plus 4 would not be a very ideal variation either. So just to prevent you from being lost, in the book this was the r4 plus 5 was the after r4 plus 5, this was the situation that was discussed. In variation 1, r8 plus 4 was discussed. In variation 2, r2 plus 4. Now for the third variation, red would try to be aggressive with r2 plus 6 instead of r2 plus 4, attempting to target the left black horse. Now this is perhaps the most complicated variation in the book, so please bear with me. After red's r2 plus 6, how should black react? Now there were 3 sub-variations that were given. The first would be b3 plus 1. The second would be h7 plus 6, and the last would be r4 equals to 3. In the main line, p3 plus 1 was given, but we shall inspect h7 plus 6 first. After playing h7 plus 6, black would have to continue with r2 equals to 4, or black would be prepared to play p7 plus 1. Red would trade his cannon, and at this point in time black would be sure to gain material. So that is why h7 plus 6 was not a good idea. Neither would be r4 plus 3, because if r4 plus 3 were played, red would attack black's left horse as planned, forcing black to defend in this manner. Red would also defend his horse in a similar manner, and as seen in one of the earlier sub-variations, after retreating the cannon, red will be prepared to attack black's right flank, and at this point in time red will have a considerable advantage. So at this point in time, instead of h7 plus 6 or r4 equals to 3, it was advocated that black played p3 plus 1 for the double-headed snake pawns. And how should red react? r8 plus 6 will be the suggested or recommended move. It would not be wise at this point to play r2 equals to 3 to attack the black horse, because black will be able to retaliate with the following moves. Now one thing to note at this point in time, if black played r3 plus 1, black would have the opportunity to play c8 plus 2 to fortify his defense. So this is why it would not be a good idea for red to play r3 plus 1. However, if r8 plus 6 were played, black would capture the pawn, and at this point in time black can be satisfied with this current situation on the board. So that is why r2 plus 3 was not a good idea in the second variation, and instead the Grandmaster advocated c8 plus 6. So this would be the third variation. Now after r8 plus 6, black would have to find a way to deal with the issue of the right cannon. It has to move away so that black will be able to move an elephant for defense later on. and red will continue with r2 equals to 3, forcing black to defend his horse in this manner. Now at this point in time, red should attack or should trade pawns. It would not be a good idea for red to try to attempt to change his formation with c5 equals to 4. Now incidentally, when both cannons are at the palace corners on the cannon rank in this, as seen in this diagram, they are called crab eye cannons. 蟹眼炮. 蟹 would be the Chinese for crab, and this particular formation will be called the crab eye formation. So it is usually played because it's seldom seen, but if it is played, usually the player using it would be attempting to attack with discovered attacks, and the central pawn would still be protected in this manner. So c5 equals to 4 for the crab eye pawns would not be ideal, because red would attack the pawn. Black, if red tried to play c6 plus 4, and as can be seen, black's defense will be holding up nicely, and black will be prepared to play p3 plus 1 to attack the red chariot. Now black would have an easier time ahead. So this is why c5 equals to 4 for the crabbed eye cannons would not be a good idea, and instead red should bide its time, be patient, and play p3 plus 1. Now at this point in time, black must consolidate his defense and cannot be trigger happy to move h7 plus 6 to the riverbank. This situation will be similar to an earlier situation. However, at this point in time, there are subtle differences. So if black played h7 plus 6, red could now attack the horse in this manner, because black would not be able to play c2 plus 2 as mentioned earlier. This would force the black chariot back, and it would be a loss of initiative or loss of tempo for black, because the chariot would have attacked and be forced to return, and black would now threaten to gain material. So red would be considered to have the advantage at this point in time, because if after trading the pawns, black's formation would need much maneuvering to get better development. So red would have a better situation at this point in time. So that is why black must defend with e7 plus 5 to prevent red from playing r3 plus 1. After playing e7 plus 5, black would now be prepared to charge his horse to the riverbank. So red would continue usually with h3 plus 4 to try to chase the black chariot away and maybe change his formation. And although this would be similar to the earlier situation, black's defense is very significant and considerable. So red would, although red would be attacking, but black would have an easier time ahead as the battle on the board enters the mid-game phase. So black can be satisfied with this situation. That is why variation 3, whereby red would attack with r2 plus 6, would not be ideal either, because if black played correctly, black would still be able to achieve a desirable position going to the mid game. So just in case you're lost, this r2 plus 6 will be variation 3 in the board, and this will be the position of the discussion. Now in the fourth variation, red would attack with p7 plus 1. So what would happen if red chose to play p7 plus 1? Black would usually defend prophylactically with a6 plus 5. Now at this point in time, two major sub-variations were given in the book. The first would be c5 equals to 4 for the crab-eye cannons formation, and the second would be r2 plus 6. Now in variation 4a, c5 plus 4 was discussed, and if red attempted to try to change formations, black would attack the horse as planned, thereby slowing down the development of both the red horses, and black would play e7 plus 5. Now black cannot accept the red horse and must play, and it will be advocated to play h7 plus 6. If black chose to capture the red horse, black would immediately attack with immediately play a discovered attack with c6 plus 5. Now in c6 plus 5, black would be in a dilemma, because the horse would have to the chariot would have to move away, and red will gain more material in the process. So this e7 plus 5 would be the correct move for red to play at this point in time, whereby it will be a pseudo sacrifice for red. So black cannot be trigger happy and capture the red horse. Instead, h7 plus 6 will be advocated, and after black were to move the horse to the riverbank, red will have to move his horse to the safety on the bottom rank with h7 minus 6. And at this point in time, black would usually be advised to play c2 equals to 1, so that the cannon would now not be under the threat of the red chariot. And once c2 equals to 1 were played, black will be able to to develop his other pieces. It would not be a good idea at this point in time to play h6 plus 5 instead of c2 minus c2 equals to 1, because if black tried to capture the central pawn, red could attack in this manner to protect the horse. But more importantly, red would now be prepared to play c4 equals to 7 to threaten with a smothered cannon checkmate, and thereby capture the black chariot in the process. And because of this threat, it will be advocated that that black moved his chariot to safety with r3 equals to 1. It would not be a good idea to attempt to trade chariots with h5 equals to 7, because the elephant has to be moved to prevent the smothered cannon checkmate. Black would continue to attack with r2 equals to 8, forcing the red chariot to move away, and red would gain material. Red would still be better in this situation. Hence, it would not be a good idea to play to capture the central pawn. So c2 equals to 1 is advocated, and after trading cannons, black can be satisfied with this situation. Now in the last variation, variation 4a, in variation 4a, c5 equals to 4 for the crab-eye cannons was played. Now in the last final subvariation, subvariation 4b, r2 equals to 6 were played. This would be another extremely complicated situation. So after r2 plus 6 were played, red will be prepared to attack with r2 equals to 3. So usually it will be advocated for black to play h7 plus 6. It would not be a good idea to move the cannon to the h4 at this point in time, because red will be prepared to play h3 equals to 4 for a similar situation that was shown earlier. Red would have the initiative. So after h7 plus 6 were played, black will continue with r2 equals to 4. r2 equals to 3 would not be a good idea at this point, because black would do the same thing. After r4 equals to 3, the black horse will be prepared. If the red chariot captured the pawn, black will be prepared to play h6 plus 4 to gain material. So p3 plus 1 will be played. And black would gain initiative in the process. The black chariot will be forced to move to the edge, whereby black will continue with c6 equals to 3, and black would gain material and initiative in the attack. Black will be able have been successful in concentrating his forces on his right flank to target red's left flank. So that is why r2 equals to 3 to attempt to capture the black pawn would not be a good idea. So r2 equals to 4 to threaten the black horse directly will be advised, forcing the horse to play h6 plus 7. Now it would not be a good idea to protect the chariot, to protect the horse by retreating the chariot, because if black did so, the other chariot, black will be given a chance to attack with i plus 6, and the resulting formation would be more favorable to red. So h6 plus 7 is advocated, and once h6 plus 7 were played, red will be prepared to capture the central pawn, forcing a trade of material. And at this point in time, red will have the slight advantage. Red will be prepared to play p7 plus 1 for discovered attack on the black chariot. So this was the last subvariation of variation 4 in the second board of chapter 8. Just in case you are lost, a short recap. Now this is the position of discussion in this board. In variation 1, r8 plus 4 was played, and which resulted in black having a acceptable situation, which will be rather even in this game. In variation 2, r2 plus 4 was played. Again, black would have an ideal situation going to the mid game. In variation 3, r2 plus 6 was played, and it will lead to complicated situations. But generally speaking, if black played correctly, black would have a easier time ahead in the game. Finally, variation 4, red would choose to attack with p7 plus 1, which is the advised, which is perhaps the best option for red amongst the 4 variations. Now there were 2 sub-variations that were discussed. The first would be, c5 equals to 4 for the crab die cannons, whereby black will be able to hold its own. And the second last subvariation 4b, will be red attacking with r2 equal +6, and red will have a slight advantage. So as can be seen, the 5-6 cannons versus the sandwich house defense is one of the major opening systems in Xiangqi today, and red is one of the preferred ways by red to counter the sandwich house defense. And when red adopts the 5-6 cannons, it will usually the match that ensues will be of a slower pace, but red will be attacking more deliberately. And although things might seem very peaceful and calm on the board at certain points in time, the situation can quickly change very rapidly. So this is one of the beauties of Xiangqi, and I hope you have enjoyed this short video tutorial. Chapter 8 is one of the most complicated chapters in the book, but the moves that are shown generally still can be seen in actual play nowadays. And for the beginner, the ability to learn to understand why some moves are played before or in a different move order will be one of the key lessons to be learned in this board. I hope you have enjoyed this slightly longer tutorial as compared to my other videos that I've made earlier, but please bear with me. And as I mentioned when I started doing the video tutorials for Grandmaster Ronghwa's book last year, this is one of the classics, in fact, one of the classics of Xiangqi opening theory, whereby the Grandmaster will explain various concepts through the variations. So I hope you have enjoyed this video tutorial, which is slightly long. And if you like the work I'm doing, please subscribe to my channel, where I will try my best to present more material in English as time goes by. And have a nice day, stay safe, and stay safe from the maintain social distancing in the recent corona epidemic. Okay, have a nice day and stay healthy.